Okay, so the other thing when we put this together with the with our folks, our friends in Flagstaff, this is we got a new charge control. It's not like the ones in the kits that have the little digital readout and smiley face and stuff. It's actually a lot more simple. So the first thing is if you have flooded batteries, you want to disconnect this little piece that connects these two. You probably can't see, but depending on your battery, you just got to pay attention to any instructions you might get. Mine are flooded batteries, simply meaning water level can be replaced with distilled water. It creates over lead plates, anyway, electrolytes or something. And I don't know all the science behind it, but the magic happens because there's distilled water and lead plates. Anyway, so we fed the wires in from the MC4 connectors. Those are specific to solar, and so now we're gonna strip these a little bit. I think they'll be right there, unless gravity takes over.
Is there still water in that pan?
No. So this isn't the right tool for this because it's a little small. You need some bigger wire snippers for this, but basically you want to strip the outside off of this. Give yourself about ½ inch.
You need a different tool.
Probably, but I'm not going to go to the store and get one.
Oh, is that what that big one was for? Oh no, it was a crimper.
These are super thick wires, so your normal everyday lighting and things like that don't require this much. These are 10 gauge wires. These are massive wires. So the one thing that I didn't do was mark positive and negative on these at this point. So I'm going to have to go back out and wiggle them and make sure we know the difference. Because currently there's no wiring set up into the panels. They just have the connectors on them. Oh, mercy. That is hard. So from there, I'm going to run out and make one of them move, and then at least we just
see which one
it is. Yeah, I'm gonna move the positive one.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. So in doing this, and we'll bring the camera out to the panels and show what I just did. Basically, you have to take the MC4 connectors that come with the panel, had to take those off, follow the positive down, find out which one of these two connects up to it. There is a system. It's actually pretty easy. And then anyway, so once you get your positives and negatives, you take and you slide them into the charge controller, and it's pretty simple. You put the solar in where the picture of the sun is. You put the batteries where the picture of the battery is. And then if you choose to run a load off of this, which you can do, then you just look for the part that's marked load. It's really, really pretty simple if I can do it. Okay. There we go. Positive is connected. I'm going to get the negative in and connected. We got a 30-foot piece of wire with the connectors already there, so when we cut it in half, we have 15 to work with. Panel's about 2 or 3 feet off of the wall, maybe 2 feet off the wall. So that leaves us several feet inside to work with, which you want. Mistakes happen, you have to cut wire off. So that is solid. These wires are connected. They're not coming off until I take a screwdriver to them. So you can see positive and negative solar coming in. Next thing we're going to set up is the 12-volt battery. I have two 6-volt batteries that are run in series, meaning I've got a wire connecting the positive from one and the negative to the other. So we're staying at, I think there's about 200 amp hours in these batteries. So we're staying at 200 amp hours, but we're moving it from 6 volts to 12 volts by connecting the positive and negative. We're making one giant battery. Series versus parallel, which would be a completely different setup that I have nowhere that I can show anyone. Okay. So we'll lay this down. The next thing we have to do is we picked up a fuse. We've got a 20 amp fuse. This is a 20 amp charge control. Higher the amperage on the charge control, the more power you're going to get through from the panels. We only have one panel, so we didn't need to go up to a 30 amp or anything crazy. Got the 20 amp fuse, which you just basically slide into this blade system. This is a mega fuse. And then this is going to sit in between the charge control and the battery on the positive connector. So I've already got wires sitting on the battery, so I'm just going to insert this in between. And according to the instructions, you want to be about 6 inches away from the positive terminal. So as I come in to plug these in, oops, man, these wires are huge. As I set this in, it's going to set to, I don't know if you can see, but this is the positive side of the setup. This is my old fuse. I'm going to snip this and put this in line, and then connect it up. And then the negative, I've already got one set up in here. In fact, I'm going to stop for a second, and I'll just show you the connection. Same deal. So I've got the negative on one battery, and again, there's a wire, the red wire connecting the positive from one and the negative from the other, or to the other. And this is my negative terminal on the 6 volt, which is going to go into the negative side where it says battery. I'm going to load that in, crank it down. And then what's left is my positive, and then of course I can run a load off of here, which I will do because I do have LED lights that are going to run. So we'll set this up in just a second, and then we'll go plug everything in, and we'll come back in and make sure that we're actually getting a charge. So let me finish with the fuse. I think I'm going to get a... This is the thickest wire I've ever worked with. These wire nippers, too small for this job. I think this wire nut's too small for this job.
In downgrading to a smaller cable, is it going to give you less power because it's not 10 gauge down there?
Yeah. Well, we won't lose any right here. The size of the cable is all about the distance that it has to travel.
Mm.
So, in the case of we're pulling everything solar into the charge control, and the charge control is only moving about 5 feet, so we should be okay in here. But yeah, generally speaking, the wire is going to affect the amount of power that it's pulling. And if we see any reduction, we'll just
Get new wire.
get a thicker gauge. Yeah. And this is the old one too. Here, so let me use this one. I want to use it. I want to make sure I have long enough wire to get up there.
Do you have any more of that?
This, yeah, on the shelf, on the top of the shelf, in the back.
The big shelf?
Yeah. Probably going to wind up getting bigger wire nuts for this. Yeah, let's just use that instead of this. This one's a little short. And the wire kind of splayed out, so I need to reconnect the positive terminal.
Do you want pliers?
These are kind of acting like it. I'm just trying to kind of spin the copper wires.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the
Oh, is this a mounting kit for that?
it covers the
Wires.
wires, yeah. Okay, so that's one side. Where did I put that? Wrong size wire nut. This thing is massive.
I don't think we have big ones.
No, we'll get some. We'll go buy some. Since this isn't moving or anything, we should be fine.
Do you want to get some 10 gauge wire if you're going to change them out anyway?
Maybe.
May as well just give it the best chance. It's not that expensive. I know wire's expensive, but it's not.
Well, we're only talking 5 feet. We're not talking a giant spool. Alright, so that is done. That's going to connect to the positive, and this is going to connect to the charge control. We'll connect them up and go outside. Is yours little set in here?
What's that?
Your little baby socket set?
Mm-hmm.
I need to borrow that.
There's some wire nuts, but I think they're smaller than what you're using.
Yeah.
Do you need this outside?
No, I need it in here for the battery. The battery hookup.
What size do you need on it?
I don't know yet. It needs to go on this. What's wrong?
One of my bits is missing. I blame you.
Yeah. Sure, it's my fault. Okay. So here's the charge control completed. Solar, positive and negative coming in. Battery, positive and negative going out. I will probably replace these wires, as my wife pointed out. They're a little thin. And then load, which I might hook up just to show the light, just to show that it's all working and running. So I'm going to set this down and put the completed with fuse inline positive onto this battery terminal. Hand me a pretty big socket. Second.
Biggest.
Yep. Okay, just going to loosen the terminal and get the copper wire on it. Again, this is from the charge control. There's no load on this. I don't recommend plugging in your solar and then touching all these batteries. Okay, so now I've got my positive hooked up. Put these back so I don't get in trouble.
You're already in trouble.
Okay, so now we have lighting. So this is telling us the batteries are at yellow, kind of mid, they're not completely charged. So one of the reasons we switched out from the kit is we think the panel fell over, I mentioned this earlier, or something, the wiring was bad, something. And so the batteries have drained down to about 11.5 volts. They were at 10, we got them back up with the trickle charger. So we're hoping to lay this solar panel up, get it all set, and trickle charge it back up to above 12. If not, we're gonna have to replace the batteries and do this wiring all over again, which sucks because that's about a $225 investment. Anywho, so we have a little bit of power. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll just kind of show this really quick. There's no solar coming in. This light is not happening. So we're going to go connect everything and come back in and make sure that we have solar coming in. All right, so on the back of the panel that you can't see, in fact, let's just bring the camera over here really quick. Just to show. So if you can see in here, you've got them very clearly marked, positive and negative. So all I did when I was jiggling the wires earlier was find positive. These are pretty easy to figure out. One is positive, one is negative. So there is no load on the system right now, so connecting these shouldn't be a problem. I'm gonna, until they click. There's one, and here's number two, and I'm gonna wind up taking some zip ties and getting these wires off the ground. Here's number two. And we're just going to go ahead, I'm not even going to shut it off. We just connected. I'm going to set these up so my dogs don't chew them. I'll probably zip tie them up out of the way. And let's just go ahead and walk back into the shed and have a look. Make sure we're under power. Okay. So popping back in. I don't know if you can see, but now we have the solar indicator light lit up. So we've got sun hitting the panels. The panels are all connected. They're connected to the batteries. The battery's only about halfway right now. So we're going to let this go for a couple of days with keep all the power and load off of these batteries and see if we can get them back up to 13 volts. Because this has some auto shutoffs that come in it, so they come with it. So so obviously it won't overcharge the batteries if the sun, if they're under load, or not under load, but under solar for days and days and days. This will shut it off to keep them from overcharging. And then when there's a load on it, which I haven't done yet, but the load will watch and monitor when the battery goes to yellow, which it just went to green, by the way. So that's how quick This is 160 watt panel. I'm actually really impressed right now because we've gone weeks and weeks and weeks and nothing has charged these things up in this new system. And I'm going to lay everything out because we're really pleased with the folks that have helped us in Flagstaff. Anyway, so now the battery's under green, which basically means I can put a load on this, which is the light that I have in another video, the LED light. In fact, I may as well just go ahead and do that, right?
See if everything's working.
To make sure everything's working. Yeah. So we've got, where are my little 18 gauge wires? Where did they go?
There's some down there.
I'm trying to figure it out. Oh, are these these are tied up? Yes, these are they. Okay.
They're stuck.
Yeah, they're supposed to come on the other side. So we're still really unorganized here.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, so very quickly, I'm going to show how this works. I'm going to start, I always start with the negative. I don't know if that's a thing, but I do it. Maybe it's superstitious or something. But I'll pull this out and get our negative attached and in there. And so these are, and with LEDs, I want to point this out. It's not like your alternating current stuff where you've got, you know, white is a return or a neutral and black is a power, and then green is a ground. LEDs don't work like that. It's basically once electricity hits the diode, essentially, which is the D in LED, it lights it up. So you really just need one. You know, one positive, one negative. It doesn't matter which is which, as long as it's consistent with all of your lighting. And then I have another like 5 amp fuse that's sitting inside of here, just so that I don't ruin the lights when I put this under load. And the light switch is not on, so I shouldn't have any issues with power coming through. But I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. Okay, so very quickly, I've got a load right here on these are my 18 gauge LED wires. I've got them running throughout this entire thing. So again, solar coming in, that's the indicator that we're charging batteries. My batteries are green, which means I should be able to pull a load off of them right now without actually plugging something in and showing what the voltage is at. I don't know where the batteries are. They were at about 11.9 volts this morning. So I'm hoping the sun's really helping with this new system that we have. And then finally, here's my load. And this load will turn off if this battery goes to yellow. This load will automatically turn off. It's designed to keep your batteries from discharging too low so that you can't bring them back from the brink, which is essentially what we're trying to do with my batteries right now. So I'm going to set this up here. It's a little stretched a little bit, so I'm probably going to wind up buying more wiring for our batteries. I've got an extra 20 amp fuse I'll set up here. So we should be good to go. So we're going to walk over, make sure the load works, and then we're going to smile and be very happy. So from the earlier video, you can see the LED in here. This is live. Perfect. So the load is pulling. So basically, we have repaired our solar. We bought a solar kit. We used some of it. Not terribly happy with it. I'm going to say some of it is because we let a panel fall. We didn't have a really good mounting system, so I'm not going to blame the company I bought it from. I'm just going to say, if you really want a good, solid kit, because I have run into a ton of people off-grid who use these kits to buy off of Amazon for, you know, $350, and then you put a battery on it, and they love them, and they're very happy with them. I am not. That's just my opinion. I would say piece it out, learn your solar, go with a company and engineer, somebody who's going to help you put it together and build it out. And this is what you're going to wind up getting is good, solid life out of your batteries that you're spending a couple $100s on, and then you're going to get your power.